Now we're going to switch gears over to the Mariners here. And before we get to news about the World Baseball Classic and such like that, the Mariners unveiled something not a little, pretty exciting. So the announcement came last week that the Mariners are unveiling and launching the Boxyard. So you can see there's a mock-up from the Mariners. It is the building that used to be the Pyramid Brewing Company. They're also taking over the corner building that had the great floors. This is an extension of what we already know and have in Hatback Bar and Grill, pardon me, and Steelheads Alley. So right next door to Steelheads Alley will be Victory Hall. We'll show you some mock-ups here as we continue on. Victory Hall will be a great gathering place. It can host a bunch of things like pre-games before Mariners, obviously, Seahawks games, anything else that's going on at Lumen, like rain games, like Sounders games and such. Sea Dragons as well as also you can rent that space out, whether it be weddings or corporate events and such and such. That'll be Victory Hall here. We're going to continue to cycle out through different mock-ups of it. That'll be Victory Hall. The other part, and perhaps the most exciting part of it, which there was no renderings of, unfortunately, was the space that was the great floors will become one of the EL1 and Mariners training centers, which will have state-of-the-art technology. I believe it's 8 batting cages, an open space in the middle. There will be a Mariners retail location inside of the building and a concession stand. But you'll have a training facility, I know Trey earlier today, apologies, that's tomorrow's show. She'll have Buki Gates and a young man from Baseball Beyond Borders on. Baseball Beyond Borders can use that space. It'll be a great partnership continuation with EL1 Sports to have that sort of space right across from the ballpark. Maybe you go from training and then immediately after, you're able to catch a Mariners game. So that is the Boxyard. The Victory Hall part of the Boxyard will be open by opening day, so by March 31st. And the training center part of the facility should be good to go in the summer of 2023. So that was a really exciting part. I know, most of what we do here is the player aspect and the team itself, but just wanted to highlight that as well because that's a really exciting addition right across the ballpark, and it's something that shows the Mariners' continued commitment to revitalizing the Soto area. That I was able to talk with a few Mariners folks at the soft launch of the Hatback Bar and Grill in Steelheads Alley, and that was something that they talked about, and something like the Boxyard is a key example of that moving forward. So now we'll move over to some other news relating to the team here. On the 10th, it was announced that 10 Mariners players are included on the World Baseball Classic rosters. These players are eligible to represent their teams for Canada, Italy, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Panama, Nicaragua, Australia, and Great Britain. I say eligible because it doesn't guarantee that they're going to play, but they're on the roster. So it will be all of these players' first time representing their country at the World Baseball Classic. Left-handed pitcher Blake Townsend for Australia, Matt Brash for Canada coming out of the pen, Diego Castillo for the Dominican Republic, Teoscar Hernandez for the DR, Julio Rodriguez for the DR, Harry Ford for Great Britain, Matt Festa for Italy, Milcar Perez for Nicaragua, Jose Caballero for Panama, and Eugenio Suarez for Venezuela. So this is pretty exciting to see. I know that a notable name left off of there is Luis Castillo. That was a topic for great debate. It was something that was mentioned in the offseason and even brought up in the Mariners pre-spring training event. So I'm ultimately not upset with it. Obviously, I know that there was a lot of discussion, why won't they let Luis pitch? This is terrible. They should grow an event like this. The key wording and it was in an article, recapping the Mariners pre-spring training event, Luis and the team came to a mutual decision that he wasn't going to pitch in there. Now, if you're a Mariners fan and you've been so for a good amount of time, you'll note that Jerry Dipoto will probably not have wanted that in the first place to have happened, considering an injury that took place in 2017 in the World Baseball Classic for the Mariners roster. So again, if it was mutual, totally fine. If the Mariners like banned him from doing it and Luis wanted to pitch, I will understand the upsetness there. But people are like, oh, the Mariners did this, this, and this. Luis himself, it was a mutual thing. Note the word mutual. So, again, some of the is opinionated stuff. I got to get the whole story, right? And that's what we're here for, is to give you that whole story, so it's not just a one-sided thing, and you're left thinking a way that you shouldn't have about our teams and about these different situations, right? So, still very exciting to see that. I will definitely have an eye on the World Baseball Classic to see that. The Dominican Republic team is absolutely stacked. The American team is pretty solid as well. There are a lot of great rosters, and it'll be a lot of fun to see an event like this taking place. So, going to move on with MLB-related league notes here on the 13th. Earlier this morning, MLB announced some new rules. The ghost runner rule in extra innings is now permanent. There was a unanimous vote that makes the runner on second base in the regular season at the start of extra inning. That'll be there all the time. There's going to be some backlash to this. I understand that. But I think with trying to keep baseball exciting and continuing to grow it to audiences that previously didn't watch the game of baseball, as well as trying to speed the game itself up, I think this move makes a ton of sense. You put that runner on second base, it makes the likelihood of a run being scored a lot higher, as well as making the game length a lot shorter, right? So it makes a ton of sense to me. I understand it. I understand why there's backlash to it, but again, I think that if you want to continue the growth of that game and want to keep it exciting for folks that haven't been able to get into the sport yet, something like this makes a lot of sense. This next part I don't necessarily like, and perhaps there's more meaning behind it. Position players pitching will change this season. Position players will only be allowed to pitch under certain conditions in blowouts and in extra innings. I think about this most notably last year at the end of the season when Luis Torrens came in and pitched an inning of relief and didn't look too bad doing so. And I think he actually got the save. He might have got the win. I believe he got the save for the Mariners in that last series. I believe it was against the Tigers or Oakland in those last few games to end out the regular season. But I don't know. I don't know why that rule was instilled, but I think it's fun. It's fun for the game. It's funny. There's humor to it. And unless there was an injury that I missed, it seems to be great fun all around. When position players are in, there are YouTube compilations of it. So I truly don't understand it. Maybe there's more to it. Feel free to let me know. But I don't know. Unfortunate to see that. So looking ahead, this has been something that we've been saying for weeks and even months. But Mariners pitchers and catchers report in just 3 days, folks. 3 days. Baseball's back. I texted a bunch of friends of mine. I texted Bell. I texted Liv. As soon as the Super Bowl ended, I sent them Center Field by John Fogerty. We're getting closer and closer to baseball. We obviously love to cover all of our pro teams here in the city of Seattle. But, because of my dad, baseball is just something that's always stuck around for me and always will stick around for me. So, it's exciting. It's an exciting time for this to, even outside of that, just as spring comes along, all of the different seasons and all the different teams that are going to come in and begin their years. So that's it for the Mariners.